Shalom. Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. Another episode where we go into news and prophecy, linking the things happening worldwide to the Holy Scriptures, so that the faithful elect, the remnant of Yasharallah, can know and understand that the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai are faithful and true, as we chant down Babylon the Great, as well as the heathen nations and 2/3 of our own people, and call for the uprising of the kingdom of heaven, which will be established on earth as it is in heaven, after the destruction of the great whore Babylon the Great, the breaking up of the beast system, and the taking down of all of these heathen nations who were in rulership, starting with Esau, Edom. A righteous kingdom, pursuant to the Holy Scriptures, will be set up on earth. As the Scriptures say, he's going to put all enemies under his feet. Okay, and the world he's returning to is Esau's world. As it says in 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, Esau represents the end of this age, or Esau is the end of the world. And his end, pursuant to 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, will be marked by many events, all right, happenings, signs, wonders, which we pay attention to and present in these videos so that you can be hopeful, all right, and be rooted in the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, all right. As the Scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And we're going to need stability in spirit, all right, because there's a lot of enchantments, there's a lot of craziness going on in the world, in Israel, and may the elect, all right, continue on the path. Now, as you can see here, we know at sundown the Passover is coming, right? And as you can see, America is to witness a rare blood moon, total lunar eclipse beginning tonight. Okay, so on the Passover, which the Passover is always the second week, all right, of a Hebrew Israelite month. All right, when you get the book of Exodus, real quick, let's get Exodus, the 12th chapter. Okay, Exodus 12 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months, and it shall be the first month of the year unto you. So we are in the first month, all right? But when you deal with the Passover, let's see if it's in this chapter. Okay. Let's see. Right, verse 18, Exodus 12 and 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening. All right, now we're in the 14th day, and at evening that issues you into the 15th day, which that's the second week in our calendar, which is always a full moon, right? In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread unto the 20th day of the month, until the 21st day, the 21st day of the month, all right, at evening. So, all right, not only does this cut any individual saying that the full moon is the new moon, okay, because again, the Passover is the 14th day at evening. Now, when Yahweh Shai was crucified, he was crucified on the Passover, and as you can see here, Matthew 27 and 45. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land, and then the 9th hour unto the 9th hour. Okay. As you read here in the notes, it says that this general darkness was holy, all right, preternatural, is evident from this, that it happened at Passover, which is celebrated only at the full moon. Okay, a time in which it was impossible for the sun to be eclipsed. Natural eclipse is happening only at the time of the new moon. Okay, so a lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse, can only take place, all right, during a full moon, which can only happen in the middle of a Hebrew Israelite month. Okay, so the Passover, as you're going to see tonight, look in the sky, all right, as I've been, because it took me a while to fully understand, it took some time for me to fully understand, the new moon and the Sabbaths, but I finally got it, but because when I first came in, of course we were doing the Friday sundown, the Saturday sundown, but once we understood the moon cycle, it clicked, you see. But the beauty of this all is just as, all right, on the day our Lord was crucified, there was a lunar eclipse. Okay, there's going to be a lunar eclipse, okay, on this Passover, and it's marked by a rare blood moon. Okay, so again, a lunar eclipse can only take place during a full moon. Okay, a full moon is what? In the middle of a Hebrew Israelite month. A full moon is not the new moon. So anybody teaching that is going off. I just wanted to put that out there. Now, America is to witness a rare blood moon total lunar eclipse beginning tonight. Okay, beginning tonight into the early hours, all right, March 14th, North and South America will have the chance to witness a breathtaking celestial event, a total lunar eclipse known as blood moon. This marks the first total lunar eclipse visible across the Americas since 2022, captivating stargazers with their striking red hue caused by sunlight filtering through the Earth's atmosphere. And these are signs, okay? We know pursuant to, let's get Sirach 43, I believe. Sirach 43 and 7, the moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name. Month and moon are synonymous. Our months are marked by the new moon. Okay, our months and Sabbaths are marked by the new moon. It wasn't one calendar for the month and then another calendar for the Sabbath. No, our calendar is marked by the new moon. The new moon is day one of a Hebrew Israelite month. All right, and you got the 6 working days and then the 7th day of the evening. All right, that's the Sabbath. Okay, the new moon marks the day one and the Sabbath for that month. And the new moon doesn't just fall on, all right, Friday sundown every month. The new moon could sometimes fall on a Tuesday sundown. Okay, just an example. So for that month, okay, the Sabbath would be, all right, Tuesday sundown to Wednesday sundown. Either way it goes, anyone teaching that the new moon is the full moon is going off, because the full moon can only take place, just like our Lord's Passover, okay, the Passover can only take place during a full moon, which is what? The 14th day at evening of a Hebrew Israelite month. So it says, the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above. See? Shining in the firmament of heaven. See, it's an instrument of the armies above. So the things that happen in the heaven, okay, the thing that happened in the heavens dictate what's happening on earth. Okay, and we know, pursuant to Luke 21 and 25, it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations. And we're seeing all of these things. Okay? Everything is lining up. Okay? With perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring. Okay, there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of the nations. And we're witnessing distress of the nations via the policies that are being put in place by the cruel Lord Trump. But all around the world, you're just seeing the squeeze being put on the people, and it's all being done on purpose. With perplexity, people are confused. People are lacking resources. People don't know what to do. People are in over their head. People are bugged out. People are not stable. People are losing their mind. People are full of that juice that they took in 2020 till now, full of meds, full of bad toxic foods, driving on the roads, crashing into one another, fighting one another, losing their mind on the internet, crying. The sea and the waves roaring, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes. The weather patterns are all thrown off. Men's hearts failing them, and these are all plagues because, again, the Lord said that he would send plagues on Egypt as before. Okay? Speaking of Egypt, 2nd Esdras 15, as a matter of fact. Second Esdras 15 and 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. And Salaki, I stumble over certain words. It's just, a lot happening, man. These are exciting times. Verse 11, but I will bring, let's start at 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. See? And this is ultimately what Donald Trump and they're leading our people and you American people to the slaughter. Right? I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. He's going to deliver his elect. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, Yahweh Shai, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy the land thereof. So when you see the food plagues, the cattle plagues, the plagues of the economy, this is all the Lord's doing, and he's using the leaders to do it, a lot of it. Okay, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation, and this is the modern day Egypt, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. And let's go down to 59. There's another one. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood. Okay, husbands dying, leaving women to fend for themselves. Poverty. Okay, we see poverty everywhere. There's no way to get ahead. There's no way to save. There's no way to really make a move. All right, this is why we have to lean on the Lord, because it's nearly impossible to save money. Then you take out a loan, you get another credit card. It's nothing but debt. This system was meant, all right, for you to eventually cry to the oppressor for his what? Charagma. Okay, to give you some form of peace and safety. That's what he's trying to do. That's what they're getting ready to do. Poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with death and destruction. And this is what's coming, especially when there's blackout come. Verse 59, thou as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. So Egypt is going to receive plagues again, and we're witnessing some of those plagues. And it's all being brought about, all right, by this cruel Lord, starting with this cruel Lord. It's been plagued, but Trump is only furthering it. Under the guise of making America great again, we're now starting to see, all right, that's far, that's far from reality. So this is very important. A blood moon total lunar eclipse is coming tonight on our Passover. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. If you don't think this means something, then hey, ultimately, hey, you don't understand. Because people be like, be not dismayed at the signs, Ak. All right, well, this is prophecy. Okay, it says it here in Luke. We can go to Joel. Which these things happened in times past as well, but they're happening now. You see? These are events that the earth would be undergoing, things that would be happening before Yahweh Shai came, because what's next? Okay, men's hearts failing them for fear and looking after those things, and then shall they see the Son of Man in a cloud with power and glory. Yahweh Shai is on his way, brothers. And you sisters that listen, that are in order. Okay? Isaiah 19:3. The Egyptians will lose heart. I will confuse their plans. They will plead with their idols for wisdom and call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult the spirits of the dead. See that? Nothing's working for America, man. It's through. Okay? I will hand Egypt over to a hard, cruel master. A fierce king will rule them, says the Lord of hosts. And when you read the result of this fierce king, this cruel Lord ruling over them, is it fishermen are going to be lamenting for lack of work. People that work for these corporations, the crops are going to fail. Okay? Ain't going to be no work. They're going to be going to council and trying to fix it. Okay? Verse 10, they will be in despair and all the workers will be sick at heart. Okay? And what Elon is doing with Doge is often hella jobs. Right? Now you got the tariff talk. Let's talk about some of these tariffs. This is Richard Wolff on Trump. Tariffs and the rising power of BRICS up front. Richard Wolff is pretty good. I've been watching him over these past couple of months. He's real good with insight. Could be a Jake. I don't know if he's Italian, but let's listen to him. And I know that makes y'all mad that there are Israelites that could look like this. Well, this is why you have to walk in the spirit. Okay?
That way. We have a global economy. We're more globalized than we ever were. We have language now. Supply chain. Almost every American kind of understands what's a supply chain. Didn't used to think about things like that because we were all here. When they say supply chain, they kind of know that when you get up in the morning and you have your breakfast, the coffee doesn't come from America and the sugar in it doesn't come from America. So if you put a lot of tariff, your latte is going to cost you $30. Uh-oh. How are you going to manage this in a country already troubled with inequality?
Yeah, this country is already troubled with all kind of hell. Right? And this is off of Al Jazeera. The American empire is over. Okay? So I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play certain bits of certain videos, but you can pause it if you want the whole video. Go look it up. All you have to do is type the title in or go to this page, Al Jazeera, and you'll be able to see the video. Or type in that title, you'll be able to see the video. Let's listen.
The price increases alone, suggested by what he's doing, the dramatic actions, they look dramatic. I'm helping America. It looks wonderful. I mean, it's choreographed in Hollywood, but it doesn't work.
Do you think he has a good faith belief that this will lead to the best outcomes for the American people?
Oh, I think that given what I gather from what he says, I don't know how to say this politely.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, I mean, you got the Trump, the Canada, which it's all theater, okay? As far as Canada, because they're all working hand in hand to bring about this NWO. They know this is going to put hell on the working class. They know this is going to only make energy prices go up, certain goods go up. And who's going to have to fit the bill is the consumer. So what happens in a depression is the consumer holds on to their money. See? So businesses fail because people don't have extra money. People are now cooking their own food, looking on the internet to get recipes. Restaurants are going to close down. People are like, I'll go make that shit myself. All right? Because ultimately people are holding on to their money. Okay? So clothing stores, okay, movie theaters, all of these things are going to eventually close because what? People, as a matter of fact, let's just look up what happens during a depression. Oh, I forgot I typed this in. Yes, a particular lunar eclipse occurred on what is believed the day of Yahushua crucifixion. Yeah, a lunar eclipse can only happen during a full moon, which can only happen during the middle of a Hebrew Israelite month. So how is the full moon the new moon? How could the full moon be day one? Anyway, what happens? I think I got I got Chat GPT up as well. I'll go to that. During a depression economy. Okay. Unemployment. So people are losing jobs, bank failures, people either take their money out, stock market crash, unemployment. All right, widespread business failures because people aren't, people ain't shopping, people ain't going out to eat. Okay, this is ultimately what this is. We're getting ready to head into a depression. Okay, gross domestic GDP, gross domestic product, which means a country's total output of goods and services experiences significant and prolonged negative growth because ain't nobody buying nothing. Why? Because there's mass unemployment. The dollar doesn't go as far as it used to due to inflation, taxing. Okay, because if they talk about they're going to lower inflation, then taxes go up. So either way it go, you lose. Okay. And you have deflation, falling prices. Prices of goods and services tend to fall, which can further depress consumer spending and business investment. Bank failures. And so for all of the things that we're seeing, we see the stock market is all messed up. Okay, these people are bringing a squeeze about, all right, on the working class for the purpose of what? Bringing about that NWO.
He doesn't understand the economics real well. The things he said are things which an undergraduate after maybe 3 weeks wouldn't say.
Wow.
I'll give you an example. Tariffs. He keeps saying, and he said it before, the tariffs, I'm going to get China with these tariffs. Tariffs are paid by Americans to the American government. Tariffs are a tax. They just have it's a tax on imports to which we have given historically a particular name, tariff. But it's a tax.
That's
and
it.
people ought to wonder, the anti-tax party, the Republicans, are the big gung-ho for a tax. Something has changed. He keeps thinking that he can hit other countries with a tariff. No, you hit us with the tariff. We have to pay it. It means we will have to pay more for everything you attach a tariff to.
And they can retaliate with their own
Of
tariff,
course.
which is another piece of this is consumer protections. Trump has deregulated.
Yeah, that's
essentially.
gone. That's gone.
So consumers may pay more, but I'm also hearing you say they also may be less protected from.
They are less protected.
What does that look like?
There's a listeria epidemic going through old age.
Consumers will pay more. In Luke, it says men's, all right, heart are going to fail them for these things. But it talks about distress of the nations with perplexity. Okay, and we always go into this word, so you should know, but you got new people. So aporia, and we'll get the root word. Okay, to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, to not know which way to turn. Okay, you got elderly people applying for jobs, man. People working 2 and 3 jobs. Okay, everything's high. Okay, then you rush into work, and then you get pulled over. You got to pay a ticket. There's no way to win in a system like this. But Israelites are comfortable. Okay, this is why we eat the bitter herb on the Passover. It symbolizes the bitter captivity, because America itself, amargo, means bitter. Mara, the word mar or mara, myrrh, means bitter. America. This is a bitter experience. So this is why we eat the bitter herb on the Passover, symbolizing the bitter captivity that we went through in Egypt and that we're going through now in the New Egypt. Okay? But some people say the bitter herb is too bitter, so they go eat lettuce, which we're all just rehearsing. But that's a weak thing to say. But I'm not going to even go there. Yeah, to be at loss with oneself. This is what Trump's so-called MAGA is leading to for Americans. Are Americans feeling great again? Well, look at the look on it. No, it looked like he's saying no, right? Look, no, y'all through. We all catching hell, but we have again. The scriptures say. Let's get 2nd Esdras 7. Because we all catching hell. We all feeling the squeeze, right? 2nd Esdras chapter 7 and 18. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for the wide. See? For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things and shall not see the wide. See? So we are hoping for the wide while we're going through these straight things. See that? But the ungodly, they through.
Homes here in the United States, really serious. Killing you. I mean, it's not just hurting people getting sick. It's killing old people in nursing homes. Okay, that's why we have regulation. You teach a course in regulation, you understand, if you do it properly, that we've had a whole series of experiences, we in the U.S., and that has been mirrored by capitalist countries across the world, everywhere. If you leave activity to the private sector, what you are doing is making profit the bottom line. That's how they work. So we needed regulation because the end result was we're not all good people. Most of us are, but those amongst us who will be tempted, and then we'll have a cookie which kills us, or we'll have a wheel that doesn't work properly on the car. So we need regulation. Guess what? If you dismiss regulation, which has happened before, here's what has happened every time. Sooner or later, we have to put back the regulation. Why? Because of the underlying logic of the system. Why does every company tell us safety is our first concern? Why do they tell us that? Because it isn't.
Okay, right.
That's why they tell us.
Because it sounds good. All right. All of this sounded good to the American people with Trump represented, but now look what it's leading to.
They have to tell us that because we're all smart enough to understand. We know why they're in business.
Right.
They're in business to make a buck. Because we're in the business, many of us, to make a buck. We understand. And can you be tempted to do something that might not be? Sure you can.
I'd like to turn to foreign policy for a bit. Donald Trump has said that he wants to turn Canada into the 51st state. He wants to take over the Panama Canal, Gaza, and Greenland. He's already renamed the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. You argue that this is a kind of 18th century crude colonialism.
Right.
Why? At a moment like this, where the United States, from your perspective, has a weakened global position, would they take on such ambitious, ostensibly colonial activity as opposed to hunkering down domestically?
Well, if you study colonialism, you discover that most of the time, when a country began going overseas and snatching parts of the world, it was because of two things. One, it needed to, and two, it could. The United States needs it, and the United States can. It can't take over Europe. It's too expensive, too difficult. They're too rich, and they're too powerful. And they can't control Russia. They are learning that now, badly. And they can't control China. They've learned that now for 25 years. But what can they control? They can control Mexico. They can control Canada. Or at least they can make a stab at it. $1 out of $5 worth of food that you and I and everybody eats.
Right, and we'll go back to that. Hold up.
Comes from overseas, and most of that from Mexico and Canada. Energy comes. A huge portion of our energy is Canadian, oil, gas, and so on. So these are basic things we need, and we're strong enough. They depend on us way more than we depend on them. We're a much bigger economy than either of them. So we can.
So just might makes right, just
Basically. And he's also aware, and he's a good politician, he's aware that a lot of the things he's going to do are going to produce real tensions inside the United States between those parts of the community that are hurt and those that are not. Foreign adventures have always had that wonderful quality that we can unite our country in opposition to, in feeling superior to, in benefiting from really, or by imagination, those other over there.
Let's talk about those others over there some more, because throughout this conversation, you've been talking about the BRICS nations.
Yeah.
How significant, as a military man?
So This is real good. This is a real good, interview. But I want to jump here.
This is the Nation's Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. Donald Trump has declared a national emergency. And of course, it's a national emergency because of something that Donald Trump pretended to start with Canada, even though Canada and America are working together to convince the civilians that is what is in their best interest is a North American Union. That's what this is about for anybody out there wondering. The pissing contest, the back and forth. I've covered it in recent videos on numerous channels that I have. This is nothing more than a show. Obviously, a tariff war only affects the civilians. But the reason they need to do this is because they can't overnight just have Canada become the 51st state. Donald Trump has been planting seeds about Canada becoming the 51st state so that people out there desensitize to it when it happens. And we're seeing the response to that as the MAGA sheeple don't seem to have the slightest clue about the North American Union. And that's all that this is about. They are trying to create a North American Union superstate. The United States of America, Greenland, and Canada. And potentially in the future, Mexico.
Let's get that in the book of Habakkuk. This is all prophecy, man. Ooh, there's so much. Oh, man. And speaking on those tariffs, this is the book of Revelation 6. Before we jump into that, Revelation 6 and 5 in the NLT. When the Lamb broke the third seal, I heard the third living being, or the angel, say, "Come." And I looked and saw a black horse, and the rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Now that word for scales or balances, right? There's so much going on, man. Is zygos, okay? A yoke that is put on draught cattle, and the people are the cattle, right? And they're putting the yoke on you, metaphorically, of any burden or bondage, that of slavery, of troublesome laws imposed on one. That's ultimately what this is all leading to. They spoke as a, they came as a lamb. Now they're getting ready to speak as a dragon. And I heard the voice among the four living beasts say, a loaf of wheat of bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay. Okay, your food is getting ready to be rationed unto you. You're only going to be able to get a certain amount of food, all right, for a day's wages. Okay, which is going to lead to what? Famine, perplexity. This is what they're doing. This is ultimately the system we see being put in place. And then it says, see that you hurt not the oil and wine, which symbolizes the truth. Because the elect are going to be stable through this all. But let's get the book of Habakkuk 2. Because they're bringing, Trump is bringing, his policies and what he's doing is basically to further the NWO agenda, but he hid it very well under the nationalist agenda. Okay, but he's working for the global elite. This is Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. We're going to have to live by faith. Yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. See? He's all over the place. Okay? This is what they've done. This is what the colonial powers did. Colonization. Okay? But America is in everybody's business. Okay? They're all over the place. Trying to subjugate, weaken all of these nations. That's how the elite use America, to go and subjugate. All right? They sent economic hitman here. All right? And now we're living at a time where these different nations are standing against America. The weaker nations are now saying, I'm strong. A lot of them are aligning with BRICS, which is headed by, the Russia at the end of the day, which is all prophetic. Okay, and it's really more of a war strategy, because monetarily and trade-wise, I mean, you can boasting, we gonna get outside of the dollar, but eventually you're gonna have to come back to the dollar. This is why a crash is gonna have to come. But it says, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb, And saying to him that increaseth, saying to him, woe that increaseth in that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So the people are complaining about, all right, this devastating, all right, oppressive system now. Okay? But as you can see, he has here the Club of Rome, which when you look at the World Economic Forum, their ideology of the, the carbon, it all goes back to what is known as the Club of Rome. Not the Treaty of Rome, the Club of Rome. Okay? And they wanted to unite, all right, certain regions. I mean, it's all NWO based at the end of the day. Tower of Babel, so forth.
Mexico as well. Now, on multiple different North American Union maps, Mexico is either on some or off of that map in other circumstances. With all of this stuff going on with United States and Mexico, I doubt that they become a part of the North American Union anytime soon because, of course, we need this division between America and Mexico in the border so that the globalists could bring in a digital ID. So they have to keep that border closed so that they can convince you that they're going to stop crime, that all the drugs are going to stop pouring in because they've invented a digital ID and illegals won't be able to cross anymore without one. And that's obviously the point. But what they're doing here is attempting to create a super state. This is part of the 10 Kingdom plan, like I covered. And I want to read to you what Donald Trump tweeted out on his Truth Social account. Based on Ontario, Canada, placing a 25% tariff on electricity coming into the United States, I have instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. This will go into effect tomorrow morning, March the 12th. Also, Canada must immediately drop their anti-American farmer tariff of 250% to 390% on various U.S. dairy products, which has long been considered outrageous. I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. This will allow the U.S. to quickly do what has to be done to alleviate this abusive threat from Canada if other egregious long-time tariffs are not likewise dropped by Canada. I will substantially increase on April 2nd the tariffs on cars coming into the U.S., which will essentially permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business in Canada. Those cars can easily be made in the USA. Also, Canada pays very little for national security, relying on the United States for military protection. We are subsidizing Canada to the tune of more than $200 billion a year. Why? This cannot continue. The only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become our cherished 51st state. This would make all tariffs and everything else totally disappear. Canadians' taxes will be very substantially reduced. They will be more secure, militarily and otherwise, than ever before. There would no longer be a northern border problem, and the greatest and most powerful nation in the world will be bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And Canada will be a big part of that. The artificial line of separation drawn many years ago will finally disappear, and we will have the safest and most beautiful nation anywhere in the world. And your brilliant anthem, O Canada, will continue to play, but now representing a great and powerful state within the greatest nation that the world has ever seen. So this tariff war that's going on back and forth, there's a lot of people that don't even understand what it actually means. So what you're seeing is two politicians who are actors, who are friends, tariffing one another. And every time America tariffs Canada, Canada tariffs them back. And of course, who ends up fitting the bill for this? Well, the civilians do. Both countries end up fitting the bill until, of course, one country will eventually give in. A tariff is...
And this also fulfills Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Okay, the America, NATO, and the EU would be at odds. Okay, yeah, it's theater, but it still fulfills prophecy. And a lot of it is actual disagreements, especially when you go with the EU and Babylon the Great, which we'll tap into a little bit of that as well. Okay, so when you look at these tariffs, okay, Canada's scoffing back, and that's going to make energy prices higher in certain places in America, right? Just know that there's a reason behind it.
Is a tax that a country adds to goods that come from other countries. It makes imported products more expensive so that...
So it's just another cute name for tax. Okay, but who gets taxed at the end of the day is the laborer, the toiler. Okay? The working class, who's going to eventually lose their damn minds.
Local businesses can compete better. Why can tariffs be a problem? Well, they could be a problem because they can make things more expensive for everyone. If a country adds a tariff on toys, people have to pay more for those toys, right? So all the other stuff that you hear, metals being tariffed, automobiles being tariffed, right? This is forcing one of the sides to cave to the other side. And it's going to go on. There's going to be a seesaw, a fake tug of war, I should say, going on over and over. And this guy, Carney, is going to play a big part in it. Notice how Donald Trump is trying to appease the Canadians, because the Canadians are very upset. A lot of them are very upset. But you notice how if you're Donald Trump and you're sitting there and this was real life, let's pretend, right? Which it's not. This is scripted. This is them bringing about the globalist New World Order agenda. They need to do these things in order to get people to accept it. But let's say it was real. If you were Donald Trump and you were looking at Canada, you were saying, you know, I really want the people there to actually want this. Because then if the people actually want it, there might be a chance that the government caves into it, maybe, perhaps, somehow, some way, right? And if you were thinking that way, the first thing you would bring up is eliminating the carbon tax, because there's nothing in Canada that drives people more crazy than the carbon tax. In fact, maybe he would even bring attention to the fact that most Canadians are unarmed civilians, right? These are things that he could talk about. But of course, in the state that we're heading towards, in this North American Union, a lot of these laws that are in Canada, once we merge, are going to filter down here, specifically the carbon tax. Because at this point, it doesn't really matter to the government if the civilians are armed. What matters most is a carbon tax, because most people are so weakened and have become so weakened that there is no real threat of a revolution actually occurring. So Trump declares a national emergency. This shows you what a show it is, right? Trump's the one who started the tariff war, but he's also the one who supposedly, of course, because this is a show, signed all these things into place when he was in power. Right now he's saying it's not fair. This isn't fair. That's not fair, right? Working, of course, with the Republican Canadian politicians who are threatening to shut off electricity. He even goes on to say, why would our country allow another country to supply us with electricity, even for a small area? Who made these decisions and why? And can you imagine Canada stooping so low as to use electricity that so affects the life of innocent people as a bargaining chip and threat? They will pay a financial price for this so big that it'll be read about in history books for many years to come. And it will be read about in scripted history books, because eventually this does not end with America conceding or falling to Canadian tariffs. This ends with Canada and America becoming one as part of a North American Union. Remember, we're the United States of America. They're
Right. Problem, reaction, solution. All right. They're presenting into you these problems. The reaction is going to be people catching hell. Then they're going to come with a solution. Okay. They're gonna all unite, right? And the NWO digital system will be the answer. The charagma as well. This is all coming, man. I don't know how people can't see this, man. But call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. All right, for the proper teachers, man, because a lot of you camps ain't talking about this stuff. A lot of you all think that this is, insignificant. This has nothing to do with prophecy. Therefore, you just sit in front of your people, talk about the commandments all day. Well, again, that's a beautiful thing. Keep the commandments, but just know the main commandment that you're gonna have to keep is not bowing the knee to the image of Baal in these times. Okay? Not taking that charagma and standing firm. Okay? Not giving up. Enduring hardness. Those are commandments too. Understanding that your enemy is operating and moving in a very deceptive manner, not to trust him. Because the remnant of Israel are going to eventually have to separate from this modern day Egypt, just like we had to separate. That's what the wilderness was for. When we left Egypt, the wilderness was ultimately for us as a nation to separate from Egypt, man. Spiritually, right? And Jake didn't want to do it. Okay? This ain't bitter to Jake. Jake is cool here. That's why they're eating lettuce instead of the bitter herbs.
Canada, but we are in North America. The North American Union, tied in, of course, with Greenland eventually needing the United States and giving into the United States, which is part of the show. The civilians think that they have some type of say in this, right? The Canadians are going, we don't want to be, we're saying no to that. America could become a part of Canada, right? People in Greenland getting interviewed by the local news, like, we don't want any part of that. We don't have a choice in having any part of it. They're conditioning you into it so that when it happens, you become so desensitized to hearing it over and over about Canada merging and Greenland merging that you just accept it. Instead of it happening overnight and you revolting against it, You turning on the government officials who put this in place. They're pretending that this is all happening because of arguments and debates and because of alpha males like Donald Trump. That's the illusion, to make you think that all this stuff is just naturally great. People should be able to see through it. Because if Trump was a businessman, none of this stuff would make sense for a businessman to do. But MAGA people are so blind, they can't even see past the fact that Donald Trump is not promoting electric vehicles, right? Another enslavement tactic. But they're so blind that they actually think this is a good thing. They think it's cool. They're like, oh, Canada's like a little brother. Come on over, you know? Yeah. Greenland, come on. You need us. We don't need you. We're doing you a favor. Meanwhile, you can show these people the maps from post-World War II to the Club of Rome and how this has been the 10 Kingdom plan all along. And how incredible that it's actually happening with the one guy who was supposed to be against the deep state who's bringing it in. It just shows you.
Yeah, Trump was supposed to be against the deep state. Remember that? Now he's ushering in their plan.
How good they are at hypnotism. We see a lot of the psyops and the false flags that the government creates, right? Let's say like the hook at Sandy. And we all look around and we go, we can't believe people actually believe this. And they do, right? It shows that we're awake so we can see through this stuff, but they're so good at it. We might be laughing at some of the stuff that they're doing because some of it's so over the top. You would think that it would wake people up, like the fake assassination attempts. Like as if they actually couldn't kill Donald Trump if they wanted him dead. With the technology that DARPA and our military has, including their magic bullet, their smart bullet, which could go around trees, right? Yeah, they wouldn't even have needed a guy on a building to do that if they really wanted to take him out. But these people eat it up. And it shows you how good this psychosis is actually working right now, that they've given you this guy.
Yeah, because everything that's been happening is ultimately an enchantment. Okay, these are enchantments that they're putting on you, man. This is a psychological operation. The whole American experience has been, but from 2020 till now especially, has been a psychological operation. High-level witches and warlocks operating on the minds of the people, preparing them for the plan that they want. Okay, and people are so worn out with the back and forth, with the up and down, with the left, the right, the this, that, eventually people are just going to be like, okay, we'll accept whatever you all are doing. Just, you know, universal basic income. I'll take it. Well, you're going to have a digital. You're going to have to, I'll take it. You know, you're going to have a chip. Okay, I'll take it. Let there be a blackout, grid attack, which they've prophesied on the left-hand side. These things are all coming, man. So you can watch the rest of that video. That's on Nations Conspire. Trump declares a national emergency. Check that out. I wanted to play some of this one as well, and we'll get a few articles and close it out.
Could from the world, and now they're extracting.
Middle nation, America, the fattened calf for the slaughter.
I mean, didn't I tell you not to react to everything that Trump says? If you react to everything he says, you're going to have a nervous breakdown. You can't keep up. The man is a human flash grenade. The international OCGFC are going for broke. They're going for broke. It's like a shock and awe campaign against the post-World War II world order. Scorched earth. He's the disorienter in chief. A lot of people wanted me to respond to that obscene video that Trump shared on his social media platform, the AI-generated video that's supposed to show his vision of
This guy might be AI. Who the hell is he?
Gaza. Even though I've already said multiple times that you should never take anything that man says literally. Never take anything literally. I've already said that this whole so-called plan for Gaza was absurd. And it's nothing but a tactic for signaling to the GCC and to Egypt and so on that it's time to move forward with a workable plan for reconstruction. And that was essentially confirmed by Steve Witkoff a few days later when he said that Trump was just trying to get the leaders in the region talking. You know, just trying to get them to talk and put together ideas for moving forward. But of course it was a disgusting video. I mean, it was disgusting and pathetic. It was disgusting, pathetic, and it's the closest that they will ever come to that scenario ever existing in reality. This is what they can do now. This is all they can do now. They can create an AI virtual outcome because creating a real outcome is no longer within their capacity. It's no longer within their capability. It's like that crazy Egyptian a while back in Syria, you know, who made an AI vision of an uprising in Egypt. It's the same. You are so disconnected from having any real-world impact, any real-world influence, that your imaginary dream scenarios can only be realized through AI, CGI, animation, what have you. So I wasn't going to respond to that anyway. Or anyway, I was deciding whether or not to respond to that.
And he's talking about basically Donald Trump had a AI plan for Gaza. You know, his plans for Gaza, with, you know, how they going to make it into this big, let's see if we can find that. Donald Trump. Trump Gaza video. And basically, Trump shares bizarre AI generated video. Trump Gaza. So it started out with the war. Bombing those Palestinians to shit. And then, what's next is they go set up a paradise over there.
Tunnels coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance.
Wait a minute. Yo, these devils are crazy. Meanwhile, people are just being bombed to smithereens. Right? Come on, man.
As the deal is done, Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand.
The statue, you see that statue? That's the golden calf. The nigga made himself into an idol. This man is crazy.
A brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza. No.
This nigga is sitting look at him and Netanyahu. This is insane, man.
Trump Gaza #1.
We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent.
We are crossing lines we didn't think existed. Yeah, Trump, y'all. Y'all thought he was going. This will surely bring down the price of eggs. The giant gold statue tells you all we need to hear. So this is all NWO. This is nothing but the Greater Israel Project, which we've done videos on that. Okay? But this is what Christians support. You red blood, you American Christians, you Jakes, who are all up Trump's ass. Oh boy, y'all got a whole heap of hell to pay. And before it's all said and done, y'all gonna be screaming. So this is what he's talking about.
That grotesque video. And then there was the smackathon at the White House with Trump and Zelensky and J.D. Vance. See what I mean? It's shock and awe. Never leave enough time to process. Never leave enough time to deliberate or to analyze. Just pummel the collective consciousness with spectacles and dumpster fires to keep everyone not just distracted, but literally bewildered. Paralysis through an overload of weird, shocking behavior. And within this stampede of outlandish, outrageous behavior, you also have
because they throw all of this stuff out there. Again, it's a war on your mind. As a matter of fact, let's get that shows you the Lord's in control of these videos. I didn't even plan on. This is all the Spirit. Psalms 140 and 1. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. That's what they're doing. They're ultimately getting ready to wage war on you people, but they got your mind everywhere. First you're looking at, Diddy. Then, they act like they gonna give you the Epstein list. Then it's this. Then it's that. Then it's this. Then it's all over the place. Then it's, the argument in the White House. Everywhere you look, there's just something to occupy your mind to where if you don't have this truth, you're like, what is going on here? They have sharpened their tongues like serpents' adders. Poison is under their lips. Selah. See? So keep me, O Yahweh, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man. Now this word sharpen, okay, they have sharpened their tongues. Shanan, okay, to teach diligently. Okay, a part of their sport is their what? Their media. They instill all kind of stuff in your mind diligently. They're just putting all kind of confusion in your mind. First it was the trans, the LG, it's everywhere. Okay, everywhere. I mean, it's a war. This is why, again, in much wisdom is much grief. But it says here to inculate. Let's look up the word inculate. All right. Project Mockingbird. You can look that up. I think I did a video on that before. Instill an attitude, idea, habit by persistent instruction. Okay. And this is Babel. Babel means confusion. So, I mean, they're just instilling confusion into your mind.
What's his name? Elon Musk's shenanigans in Germany and UK and so on. The elections in Germany that took Schultz out and replaced him with a former BlackRock executive. People ask me to comment on all of these things. But honestly, for me, it's like asking me to comment on every step in a staircase that someone is falling down. Because all of this is just the playing out of what I have been saying all along for at least 3 years now. The A-National OCGFC are throwing Europe under the bus. And in fact, they already threw it under the bus. It's been under the bus. So the headlines that we're seeing now are just about which part of Europe is currently getting crushed under the wheels. Which part of the body of Europe. The U.S. is subjugating Europe. And they're distancing themselves from the conflict zone that they want Europe to become. So, I mean, look at the reaction of the EU leadership to the Trump-Zelensky shouting match. Just pledging their undying support for Ukraine. Doubling down on their animosity towards Russia. And accepting the fact or acknowledging the fact that they are no longer American partners. That's just...
This is Daniel, the 2nd chapter, right before your eyes. Because if you look at everything going on with Europe, let's get a few things here. Let's just look at the titles. You know, Trump considers pulling troops out of Germany. Now, I used ChatGPT to ask, you know, President Trump's why is Trump considering pulling troops out of Germany? Okay. It says defense spending disparities. Trump has consistently criticized NATO allies, particularly Germany, for not meeting defense spending target. Okay. He perceives this as an unfair burden. Strategic realignment. The administration aims to encourage European nations to take greater responsibility for their own defense. Okay, by reducing U.S. military presence, Trump seeks to prompt allies to enhance their military capabilities and financial commitments to NATO. Improved relations with Russia. Trump wants to improve relations with Russia, but we know that those small hats and their stance, especially over in Syria, which is going to lead to tension with Iran, all right, it's going to take care of that. Okay, eventually the whore, Babylon, is going to be drawn, all right, to war to defend those small hats in Russia. You know, after Russia and their allies, you know, totally annihilate Israel, pursuant to Ezekiel 38, America's going to be drawn into war with Russia and the rest of these countries. So it's not, you know, again, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. And an example of that, what I'm talking about here, because Trump is trying to actually strengthen his ties with Russia. Okay? Which we know prophetically that ain't going to work. But new IDF chief declares 2025 a year of war on Gaza and Iran. So if there's a war on Gaza and Iran, America's going to be for that. Okay, if there's a war, if Israel is talking about waging war on Gaza, those Palestinians, Iran, America's going to be drawn into that, and they're going to eventually be against Russia. It's not going to work. There's another article I had. Damn. Boom. All right. Erdogan and Netanyahu on collision course in Syria could spell trouble for Trump. See that? So Turkey and Israel are eventually gonna, you know, collide. We know that. We know Erdogan is eventually gonna side with Russia, as you know, Turkey has historically been, you know, played both sides. We know prophetically Turkey is gonna side with Russia. So this is gonna leave America to defend Israel, and boom, it's gonna be all out, all right, war. As a matter of fact, I think I typed that in too. How does tensions between Turkey and Israel over Syria affect Donald Trump in America? Strained NATO dynamics. Turkey's independent military actions in Syria, coupled with this procurement of Russian S-400 missile systems, have strained relation between NATO allies, including the United States. So again, this is all going to lead, okay, to America having friction with Russia. Okay? Trump may be talking about he wants to strengthen ties between him and Russia, but prophetically it's not going to work because of those small hats. Okay? It says, let's see here. These deployments challenge NATO's cohesion and complicate U.S. strategic planning in the region. Okay, diplomatic challenges. Turkey's threats against Israel Israel, a key U.S. ally, placed the United States in a difficult position. Okay, balancing its commitments to both nations, such tensions could necessitate increased U.S. diplomatic engagement and prevent further escalation and maintain, regional stability. All right, and it's more. But ultimately, as we were reading here, let's see here. Trump's effort, okay, we were talking about, Trump taking, troops out of Germany. Trump's effort to strengthen ties with Russia have influenced his stance on U.S. military deployments in Europe. He views reduced U.S. military footprint as a gesture towards better U.S.-Russia relations. You see that? So America is, again, as the title of this video, America is being fattened for the slaughter. Okay? And it's all kind of just divisions. Now, again, let's go back to Daniel 2:40. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, Rome, as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and subdue. This is what Rome was able to do. All right, but we know prophetically Rome will be revived, and the end would come through the revival of the Western Roman Empire, which started at the Renaissance, all right, and it ends where we are now. Okay, that system, the revival of Rome, would issue forth the mark, but they will be plagued by divisions in the latter days. And we know the scriptures say a kingdom divided cannot stand. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part potter's clay and part iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of the iron. So they have the strength of the sword. Okay, this revival of Rome, which is fulfilled in America, NATO, and the EU, right? For as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. Okay, so they don't agree. They have all kind of divisions, man. At the end of the day, that's the iron and miry clay. They have the sword, but the sword is divided. They don't agree economically. They don't agree with certain allies that, certain, members of the beast system aligning themselves with Russia. It's all kind of, things that are happening that speak to this very prophecy. As the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Okay, when you look up this word broken, this is what we're witnessing. Okay, the revival of Rome is being broken. Thabar, broken in pieces. Let's see what the shabar, to break in pieces, wreck, crush, is being broken in pieces. Okay, and it's gonna fully be broken in pieces when Yahushua returns. Okay, but before that, we know prophetically, Revelation chapter 17 and 16, and the 10 horns, which the EU started out at 6, then 4, so it was 10. Now it's, I believe, more than 20 something plus. All right. And we know the 10 horns, the EU, European Union, which thou sawest on the beast, these shall hate the whore and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, to agree to give their kingdom unto the beast. All right, so they all agreed, they were all aligned, they were all, confederate, but now it's all breaking up in these latter days, okay, for the purpose of war breaking out. War is coming, okay? War is coming, man. I mean, you look at the headlines. I was looking at Trump is now threatening a retaliatory 200% tariff on European wine after EU proposes American whiskey tariff. It's nothing but back and forth between Edomite powers. Okay? Yeah, Trump threatens Putin with devastation punishment if he fails to accept Ukraine's ceasefire deal. So it's nothing but back and forths. Okay? Canada and EU retaliate to tariffs targeting textiles, water heaters, beef, and bourbon. Okay? Let's see here. So everywhere you look, Israel carries out strike against Syria. So it's eventually all hell is getting ready to break loose. Poland has plans for all men to undergo military training. They're getting ready to go to war. EU plans to intensify immigrant deportations. Britain's top energy companies are forcing smart meters on consumers. Israel declares an indefinite military presence in Syria. Meanwhile, niggas are doing videos on Hebrew Israelites. The Hebrew Israelites are going to be blamed for all of the world's problems. Meanwhile, Esau is just at war with himself, with the world, every goddamn thing. So, what we're witnessing is the end of Esau's world, man. And it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's all over the place. All right. But just know it's prophecy. Okay? Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Let's go back here, because what this is all going to end in, okay, is all of these nations pretty much going to war with one another. But many of America's allies, all right, in Europe are going to side with Russia, right? And join themselves, because with America, if America leaves NATO, that's going to what? Cause these European countries, all right, to have to fend for themselves. And they're going to need aid. They're going to need help. Okay? So with Turkey, Russia, Iran, all of these, siding together, of course those European nations are going to side with them. And they're all going to turn on Israel and America. That's where this is all leading to. So much to say in so little time. All right, but this is where we at.
Is Europe continuing to fall down the stairs? And the effigy of Schultz is removed, and BlackRock takes over direct control over Germany to ensure that the destabilization goes on. Every country is supposed to fend for itself in terms of security and military preparedness and so forth, which it doesn't mean anything except purchasing weapon systems from the U.S. It means domestic conscription and so on. You understand? I find it hard to motivate myself, frankly, to even comment on all of this, because I have literally been saying this for years already. So it's hard for me to find something new to say, except, yeah, that's what I said. I mean, if you want me to comment on the train wreck of that press conference between Trump and Vance and Zelensky, what is there to say? Really, what is there to say? I mean, this is where it's appropriate to bring up the fact that Trump was a reality TV star. People mention that all the time about Trump, dismissively, as if that's the only thing that Trump ever has been, which is dishonest. But in this case, it's right, because that was a reality TV catfight. And it makes me look at how well King Abdullah actually controlled himself in his press conference with Trump. That press conference that everyone criticized him for. But he didn't allow himself to be provoked into the indignity of a shouting match, which you have to know at this point that Trump is always loaded up for that. He's always loaded up for that. He's ready to do it. So I think world leaders need to understand that any joint press conference with Donald Trump is a trap, because he absolutely is shamelessly ready to play for the cameras at any time. And this, again, is just another way of alienating the rest of the world from the U.S. and isolating America from the world stage. If you're
That's it. That's ultimately what this is leading to. America and Israel isolating itself for prophecy to be fulfilled. That's all.
Relationship as a country, if your relationship with the U.S. is sensitive in any way Why, the worst thing that you could ever do is to agree to appear in a joint press conference with Donald Trump. You know, Teddy Roosevelt said, "Speak softly but carry a big stick." That's the American approach to diplomacy. So when you see an American president speaking loudly, well, you know he's got no stick. So all he can do is to try to beat you down verbally. And if he does it on camera, if he does it in public, well, it can have the same effect as a physical beatdown. So leaders around the world, in my opinion, should never give him the chance. Don't you do a joint press conference with Donald Trump. It's not safe. Okay, but meanwhile, actual things are happening, and you should try to pay attention to those actual things, like the gutting of the federal government in the United States. The National OCGFC are scraping out the insides of the government like a Halloween pumpkin. What we are witnessing is not some unprecedented decline of Western power, but rather we're seeing the natural conclusion of the imperial project.
That's
The
it.
National OCGFC are simply doing now to Europe and doing to America what they have been doing to the global south for decades. Longer than decades. The machinery of the empire was never built to serve the people at the imperial core. Remember that. It was built to serve the private interests that controlled the empire. And now, with America retracting as an empire, those same private sector elites are cannibalizing the very system that sustained them. You understand? For decades, the global south has been systematically stripped of sovereignty. Its governments have been reduced to administrators of corporate interests, corporate imperialism. Their resources extracted, their populations controlled through debt, through military intervention and economic coercion, on and on and on. Now that process is being applied to the former imperial centers themselves. The U.S. isn't just retreating from global hegemony, it's being devoured from within. The institutions that once managed the empire abroad are now being dismantled at home, like the NED and USAID, and is being repurposed to facilitate the looting of the American economy and the subjugation of its own population under the same neoliberal order that it imposed everywhere else. That's what's happening. I mean, look at what Trump has done to the federal government. Honestly, agencies that were once responsible for regulating industry, for protecting labor rights, for ensuring environmental standards, or for providing social services, it's all being gutted. It's all being hollowed out, or it's being handed over to the private sector, to private sector actors who have no interest in governance beyond how it can be exploited for profit. That's their only interest. You know, the Environmental Protection Agency is turned into a tool for deregulation. The Department of Education is being pushed towards privatization.
And AI is going to take over all of it. Okay?
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, dismantled to make way for unchecked corporate predation. Even institutions like the State Department, even institutions like the Pentagon, traditionally instrumental in maintaining empire abroad, is being restructured to prioritize the profits of defense contractors and oil companies.
Okay? The two horns like a lamb are getting ready to speak as a dragon.
Over any sort of strategic vision that has anything to do with defense. And then, of course, there's the push to shift military costs onto other nations. You know, the idea that Europe needs to rearm itself, that NATO member states have to vastly increase their defense budgets. This isn't about strengthening NATO, strengthening those countries. It's about shifting the cost burden of maintaining global security onto others while the U.S. sells them weapons. That's all that is. It's the same game that they played with so-called third world militaries, you know, create instability, manufacture a demand for weapons, and ensure that the war itself remains a profitable industry.
This is the devil. Again, continually, let's go back to Psalms, man. Goodness gracious, this man is the devil. Okay? Continually, Psalms 40:2, continually are they gathered together for war. They have sharpened their sword, their tongues like a serpent's adder, poison is under their lips. They have a plan. Okay? But the beauty of it is we're at the very end of this devil and his confusion, because eventually all things are going to spiral out of control. All right? And the Lord's will be done. Because again, the king's heart Proverbs 21 or Proverbs 19 maybe. Hold up. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So you may see these, you know, like Trump talking about strengthening ties with Russia. And it ain't gonna work. It's all, at the end of the day, War is ultimately getting ready to be played out to fulfill the Lord's will. What did we read in Revelation 17? For the Lord have put it, Revelation 17 and 17, the Most High have put it into their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Lord be fulfilled. And we're witnessing that. Okay?
Indefinite. Europe is being positioned not as a partner, but as a new frontier for security-based economic exploitation. This is the inevitable trajectory, by the way, of an empire in decline, of America's empire. America's global footprint is shrinking, but it's not because they're making a strategic retreat. It's because the forces that once wielded that empire for their own gain no longer need the facade of national power. They have extracted what they could from the world, and now they're extracting from America itself. The country is being looted. It's being asset stripped and sold.
Because remember, the whore wrote, who rides the beast. Let's get that. Maybe it is chapter, Revelation 17. Boom, Revelation 17 and 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman, which is America, the whore, sit on a scarlet. Scarlet is a derivative of red, colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, this leads you back to what? Revelation 12. Revelation, the 12th chapter, in the 3rd verse. And there appeared another sign in heaven, and I beheld a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns. This was speaking of the Western Roman Empire. It's back. Along with its allies and its vassals, it's back. Okay? This same system has been what? Revived. The Renaissance brought about what? Okay, the ancient Roman practices, ways, science, thought, philosophy, governance, everything. See? And the whore America rode the beast. Okay? And there was a particular video, all right, where this EU member or chief in the EU, he basically admitted that, yes, we have assisted America and Israel in these war crimes all throughout the planet Earth. But as he's saying, ultimately the elites have got what they want out of the stigma of America. Okay? Keep listening to him.
Off in pieces. And just as they did in the global south, they're going to leave behind a population that's drowning in debt. They're going to leave behind a government that is incapable of addressing the needs of the population, and a security apparatus that exists solely to suppress dissent. The same corporate oligarchs, the same financial institutions and military contractors that drained the global south of their resources are now doing the same to the west. This is what I've been talking about for ages now. The same economic policies that left entire nations in the global south impoverished, the same mechanisms of debt enslavement, the same manufactured crises and wars of destabilization and so on, those are now being turned inward. You all over there in America need to understand this. Wallahi, you need to understand that you are absolutely on your own. You know, you have a kind of bear. There's only in America, the black bear. It's a predatory animal and a scavenger, appropriately so. And when it goes out to find prey, to find food, and it can't find it, well, it comes right back to its den and it eats its own cubs. Forget about the chickens coming home to roost. This is a case of a hungry bear coming home to eat its young. That's what's happening. And you need to start thinking, if you're in America, you need to start thinking about your options. You need to start thinking about what resistance really means for you. Because you only have 2 choices, really. You really only have 2 choices, either resistance or escape. In this case, it's important for you to understand that you're dealing with the literal programming of the system, the DNA.
Good thing that we have Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, because I mean, you try to fight, you'll get, you know, you play into their hands. Okay, you run. Ultimately, if you you need Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay.
You know, it's like the bear. It's like the bear's nature. You're not going to change the bear's nature. It's programmed like that. This isn't about Trump. This isn't about right or left. This isn't about Republican or Democrat. This is about the nature of the system itself.
There you go.
And this is the only way that that system can go. Please understand. You're not going to convince that that black bear to spare you, that hungry bear. That's not going to happen. You think you can reason with a hungry bear?
Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast. Now, let's look up the word for beast. Okay, therion, a brutal, bestial, savage, ferocious man. See that? And y'all trusted in him. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, all right? Ancient Rome. But now he has miracles, technology. And again, this is the system that's going to bring about that chip. Mark our words, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai.
You think you can say it's unconstitutional for a bear to devour its offspring? That's not.
Well, that's why they're doing away with your Constitution. You won't have rights. See, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of that stands in the way of what they want. So they're dismantling all. They've been dismantling it. How do you think they will able to force you to put a jab in your ass? Okay? And when these red-blooded Americans figure out Trump didn't meet, they're gonna lose it. Civil unrest is coming, man. Because the squeeze is only go grow harder.
Not going to happen. That bear is going to do what bears do. It's going to do what it's always done. It's going to do what it was designed to do. So right at the outstart, you have to discard any notion that you can turn that bear around.
And there's a lot of people who believe that. Anton Daniels, they believe that somehow they have a way to win in this system. 19 keys, you play with AI, but then you got to conquer it. No. Eventually, we're going to need divine intervention. There's no way to win going hand in with this system. Don't you get it? If this system continues and the Lord don't come, we're through. No flesh is going to be saved. Robots are going to be everywhere, pop locking, dancing. Okay? And the rest of the people are just going to have to be upgraded by the charagma.
But you can persuade it to go hungry for moral or for ethical reasons or what have you. That's not going to happen. This is irreversible. So any strategy that you have for addressing the situation that includes reversing this process is just going to get you chewed up. I'm telling you, the dismantling of America, the hollowing out of the federal government, the isolation, the economic collapse, this is all happening. And it has to happen. And nothing is going to stop it from happening. You can't flap your arms to keep a spiraling plane from going down. That's not going to work. This is the future that you're facing, and you need to make your plans based on that reality. Don't be like Trump and come up with some, fantasy AI video of the future that you wish could be but won't be. And don't make your plans based on the way you think things should be. Make your plans based on the way things actually are. I'll give you another evidence. Trump's so-called gold card program, visa program. You've heard about this? He's offering residency and a path to citizenship for $5 million. This is not an immigration policy, it's a fire sale. He's not offering opportunity to the deserving, the most deserving. He's auctioning off the country to the highest bidder. This isn't about job creation. It isn't about economic development or national prosperity or whatever other hype you might hear. It's about the final commodification of American sovereignty, the absolute monetization of citizenship. It's the selling off of America itself to the national owners and controllers of global financialized capital.
Yeah, I thought. Remember, at first he was against H-1B visa, and now he for it. Then they start cursing you Americans out. Now he's offering, all right, you can buy citizenship. You hear that? Right in your face, America. Good for you. Good for you Americans who really bought into this madness. Okay, now I admit it sounded better than the BS that the left was talking. We get it. But now it's time to face reality. Okay, and when it's all said and done, the prophets were right. Okay, and there's certain individuals set up are like him and certain people who bring out certain truths who speak to things that only solidify what the prophet said. So we bring it out for you.
Couldn't be clearer. This program that Trump has allows any foreign billionaire, whether it's a Russian oligarch, a sheikh from the Gulf, or a Chinese tycoon, to purchase a permanent U.S. residency and eventually, a path to citizenship for just $5 million. No jobs need to be created. No economic contributions have to be made, no investment, nothing beyond the payment itself, beyond that $5 million. There's no requirement whatsoever for these individuals to invest or to integrate or assimilate or what have you, or to even live in the country. They're simply paying for a passport. They're paying for nationality. This policy reveals a stark reality about that government. The American government does not see the United States as a nation anymore. It sees it as real estate. It sees it as an asset to be leveraged, a commodity to be liquidated. The country is not being governed, it's being sold. I mean, some might say, why would a foreign billionaire pay $5 million for this when they can already invest in the U.S.? Well, it has nothing to do with investment. The gold card offers them something that investment can't really offer them. Just investment. Unrestricted access, asset protection, political leverage, and legal immunity. Billionaires.
All right, so you could keep watching this. I mean,
Jail-free card. Not to mention it's a second passport. The ultra-rich is a land of opportunity, or that it values contribution, or that it rewards merit. No, the only thing that matters is money. America is no longer a country. You understand? It's an asset class. It's a nation for sale. Trump's policy doesn't serve America, obviously. It doesn't serve the American people, obviously. It serves the national owners and controllers of global financialized capital.
Boom.
They don't see themselves as citizens of any country, of any nation. They operate, as I've said many times, beyond borders, beyond governments, above governments, beyond laws, above laws.
Chaldean.
Their allegiance obviously isn't to America, it's to capital itself. They extract wealth from every country, but belong to no country. So what does it tell you about the trajectory of global capitalism? It tells you that nations are obsolete. Governance has been replaced by transactions.
So this is the modern day Tower of Babel. I mean, you can listen to more of him. There was a few other things, but eventually it'll come out. There's so much happening. It's hard to even focus on one topic. It's just so much. It's all over the place. But hey, these are the times we're in. Protest in France. All right, over the Ukraine. These European nations doubling down on protecting Ukraine. Okay, this is a beautiful time, man. Wow. So Europe is in a collapsing. Eventually a lot of these European nations are gonna side with Russia against America. America is a fatted calf for the slaughter, man. Isolating itself further and further for the destruction prophesied in the Holy Scriptures. Let's get one more scriptures. Ezekiel 28 and 6. There go that stomach growling. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, and the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. And they shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die. The deaths of them are slain in the midst of the seas. So just like ancient Egypt, was destroyed in the sea, is likened that to the fall of America. The horse and his rider, which was Pharaoh in ancient Egypt, now is the red horse in Revelation the 6th chapter. And he's getting ready to fall, man. So all of these things happening, we see it, it kind of goes over your head. You're like, what is that? It all makes prophecy come, all right? And as Habakkuk said, at the end it shall speak, man. So let's see here. Beautiful times, man. All right. Division between Trump and the European Union. We at the end, man. We at the end. So we'll be back with more. Shalom.